Welcome back, guys. If you're following the 91 Camaro LS swap build, well, you're going to want to stick around because in this video we finally fired up our 5.3 LS truck motor in our 91 Z28 Camaro. Go ahead and scroll down to the description right now. I did put in some timestamp links, so if you want to skip ahead in this video, I do cover a few things about the swap, different things I did as far as the wiring, fuel pump. We did run into an issue with the VATS system because it is a 91, it's got the VATS on there. Couple other things. As of right now, I'm actually getting ready to do a couple heat cycles on the engine, but again, check out the description. Also, you'll find a link to Dreamin' Big Clothing Company's website. Be sure and hop over there, check out what they got going. They have an awesome message. It's all about chasing your dreams, chasing your goals, and then it's a clothing company. Obviously, you see in a lot of the videos I'm wearing a lot of their gear. Anyways, guys, we're gonna skip over to actually yesterday when all this went down. It got late last night, so we had to shut it down, but this morning I'm getting ready to pull the car out and do some additional testing and running and stuff like that on it. But anyways, let's get to the action. And if you like what you're seeing, please subscribe. There will be a lot more coming with this car, so stick around. Alright, so I've had a couple questions about the wiring. Now, if you've messed with the Holley Sniper, you know that it's EFI, so it has a bundle of wiring that comes with it, different connectors. O2 sensor, the controller plugs into it, and there's two main looms that go through. And then the MSD Black Edition, which doesn't make any difference. It's the MSD LS Series ignition. It comes with a couple wiring harnesses, and I mounted my MSD on the dash inside the car. So essentially all that stuff has to get routed through the firewall. Now over here, the existing, there's really not a whole lot to work with where the existing pass-throughs are at. And for safety reasons, I didn't want to put any more holes in the firewall than I had to. So what I ended up doing for all my wires, as you can see, they go through right back there, basically directly above the engine in here, but they actually pass through into the cowl. So what that does is there's like another firewall back in here. So this passes through, goes down, and then I'll find my light over here. We can go inside the car. And I'll show you here quick inside the car where I set up basically a whole standalone electrical system. So, it's kind of hard to see under here, but basically what we got is a separate fuse panel over here, and then off to the right come through. It's basically another blocker plate that was put in because all my HVAC's deleted, and there's a bus bar in there that I'll use to connect all my signal wires and all that. So all of the wiring for all the aftermarket stuff is going to be underneath here, and there'll be one key switched hot wire that comes over and powers this fuse panel. That way everything still works off the key switch, but I'm not tapping into the original electrical system and tapping into fuses and all that, and this should keep it a lot cleaner and a lot simpler. So one of the other things, I've had a few questions about my fuel pump. I did go ahead, I did upgrade it to a Aeromotive Stealth 340. Now when I opened up the carpet, I saw that I didn't do this. Someone else had already put this cutout in here to access the fuel pump, which is kind of handy. But with that Sniper, I believe you need at least 62 or 63 psi of fuel pressure, so I went ahead and upgraded that pump, and it's a drop-in unit. The pump itself bolts into the original housing here, so this was all already here. This was all already like that. Someone else had already messed with this. The only thing I did different was I added this bulkhead. So these wires, they're a little bit bigger and thicker. They go straight to the fuel pump. So I got my hot wire ground, and then I still have a signal for my sending unit going to the gauge. And then I'm not really a huge fan of all this. You can see these, like, someone else did this with the hoses, but I went ahead and I flared all the ends on here. so that these should bite a little better. I shouldn't have to worry about the extra fuel pressure causing any problems. And then that the Holley Sniper actually comes with its own fuel relay and wiring. I believe it's I think it's 12 gauge or 10 gauge wiring that goes all the way back to that pump, which is what's recommended for it. And that's this like wadded up mess you see right here that I still got to deal with. But this blue wire is actually going to go all the way back to the fuel pump, and it will be computer controlled through the Sniper. The Sniper will operate that fuel pump. Some of the other things I got left to do is I am running a mechanical oil pressure gauge, which I have that halfway hooked up, because tapping into the dash and all that, I didn't want to mess with it. So I went mechanical. That's my AFR gauge over there, which will not be hooked up yet. Like, the goal for today is to basically hook up the absolute necessities to get this thing running. Here's a shot of that MSD LS series ignition controller. This is mounted. I do have the wiring and everything plumbed through, so we're gonna have that all hooked up. It's not gonna be routed correctly. I'm not gonna go through and put wiring looms on, zip ties and all that, because again, for today, I just want to connect the dots and get this thing running. So I'm gonna get to work on this thing, see if I can't get everything connected up, and then we should be ready to try and fire it up. So stay tuned. All right, guys, been hard at it all afternoon here. Everything is, I'm gonna say it's crudely hooked up. I think I'm at that moment right now where, like, I'm trying to run everything through my head, trying to remember what it is I forgot and what I didn't forget, and if it's done right, and getting a little nervous, getting a little anxious. But you can see right there, when I say crudely hooked up, I am not a huge fan of this at all, but for right now it'll be fine. Some of the other things I had to do was run the vacuum line that's for the vacuum advance for the MSD coming right off the carburetor. This is a 1/4 inch, almost like a PEX, but it's like a plastic tubing. Our controller is not plumbed through the car yet, but I do have it hooked up. The last thing I just did was hooked up the positive and ground for the Sniper. I have not put the fuses in yet in the new fuse panel, but I did get all that wired up. I do have the starter installed, the wiring's good there. One hiccup I ran into, and I know this is kind of a hot topic, or at least it was at one point, but I believe it's called the vehicle anti-theft, the VATS, or interlock, or I don't know what it's actually called in these cars specifically, what GM's name for it is. And I know it's dumb and it's a big pain in the butt, but I remembered somehow during the middle of everything, I had like, this car ran fine at one point, and for some reason it quit. And while I was doing all my testing for wiring, figuring out what was what, I discovered that for some reason that pass key or whatever it's called is not allowing the car to crank over. So here's basically what that all looks like. So when you take this kick panel off right here, there's a black rubber gooey nasty thing that covers that right there, and behind it you'll find this. Well, all you got to do is this black wire with a yellow stripe on it. Just run it to ground. See, this is grounded through my power probe right here, and as soon as I put ground to that, it then allows me to crank the car over. So yeah, so if you're running into that issue, I really don't care to dig into what the actual problem is. All I know is you do that, it works. So good enough for me. But I'm gonna go ahead and do a run through, double check, triple check everything, and then I'm probably gonna pop the fuses in, turn it on, check for fuel leaks, and then we'll be ready to crank it over. So all right, guys, I think it's time. I don't know if you recall, about 1.5 years ago when we first got this car, I had some little guys helping me out. So today, these guys are still with me. He's gonna get to turn the key to see if this thing starts. We cranked it over. I did pull the fuel pump relay and put the fuses in for the Sniper and the MSD, turned it on, made sure everything was good, followed the instructions, because when you initially start up your Sniper, you have to program it. It has pre-programmed tables in the handheld itself, and then it flashes the ECU in the sniper. So I got all that set up. That was super simple. So now we're gonna put the fuel relay back in, turn the key on, double check for fuel leaks, make sure everything is good there, and then we're gonna crank this thing over. So what do you think?
I think it's gonna work, but I might think it might take like a minute to start.
Yeah, I think it will. It could explode.
I know, that's like that's like
I sure hope it don't explode, but we got a fire extinguisher just in case.
I'll be way back there.
Are you ready? Go for it. See what happens. All the way forward.
That was all the way forward. It went away.
No, turn it forward.
Oh, like that way?
Yeah, forward.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna hit him.
Okay, car wouldn't start. That was take one. Did a little digging, figured out on the MSD controller, you got these harnesses right here that go to each side. These, because I'm a bonehead, I had them grounded right here. Well, you can't do that because these valve covers are not grounded. So we redid our ground wires, put them straight to the head and the battery ground, and bam, we got sparks. So I think it should start this time. So whenever you're ready. Woo! Do it again.
That was
Turn that key off and cycle. Alright guys, it's like, I don't know, almost 10 o'clock. The car will prime the fuel pump, crank it over, it goes vroom for half a second and shuts off. Go through all this troubleshooting stuff. I start data logging on the MSD box and I start doing some logging on the sniper. Finally get to a helpful tech page. It has a step-by-step, check this, check that. Well, checking all this stuff, come to find out I don't have an RPM signal being sent to the sniper. So I thought, I just wired all that up. Let's go ahead and take a look and double check all my wiring. So check this out. There's my bus bar. Notice anything funny about that one connector on the end? Yeah, that's my tack signal wire. Oh, it's not there. So what do you say we hook that bugger up real quick and we'll try it again.
Oh, and
All right, dude.
here's the red handle pause.
There they are. Problem solved. Turn that key over and start this thing. Get it, buddy.
Forward.
Forward.
Are you ready?
Go. Do it. What'd you shut it off for?
I don't know.
It scared you, didn't it? Turn it back on.
Like, push forward?
Yeah, do her. Turn it on. Start it. Start it all the way. Why do you keep shutting it off? We got her! What do you think?
I don't know.
Turn it back on. Start it. Turn the key and start it. So, hold on. Dirty lens. So what did we learn?
Yeah,
Maybe double check and recheck your wiring.
yep.
Yeah.
And also,
So when I was feeding wires through the dash, Evidently I did a terrible job crimping on one of my connectors at that bus bar, and I pulled my tack signal wire out of the connector, so the sniper didn't have a signal. So
It just keeps on rumbling up and let it work.
go figure, hook the wiring up the way it's supposed to be. Thing seems to run pretty darn good. So it's 9:30 and it's getting kind of late. People are trying to sleep around here. We got open headers on this thing, so we got the car started. Seems to be running good. Tomorrow probably put it back on the ground, take it outside, and we got to do some learning for the sniper. It has to get up to a certain temperature before it starts to learn all the fuel tables and all that. So tomorrow I'll probably push it outside and do some of that, but for now it sounds good. I'm excited, I'm pumped. She's finally running, so we just gotta finish putting some stuff together on it and get the exhaust hooked up and all that, and we'll have this thing on the road. So well, for some reason when the car warmed up, it didn't want to idle as good, so I had to help it out a little bit. But the issue we're running into right now is we're running open headers, which really isn't that good. And the AFR, or the O2 sensor, is about 4 inches from the end of that header, so the car is running extremely rich. It's reading like 20 and 30 on the AFR, so it's dumping fuel in, trying to compensate for that. So before we continue anymore, we really need to get some exhaust on the car. They recommend at least 18 inches from that sensor. So for now, we're gonna leave it alone. I need to go back through, redo some wiring and stuff like that on the car anyways. So hopefully the next time we're back making a video, we'll have the thing out on the road. So anyways, we're gonna leave off with that. Big thanks to my help here, getting the car started. And yeah, if you like what you see, subscribe. We're gonna do a ton more videos on this car. So anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Dadgummit, stay good. We will see you later.